Audio is on.
Attention! The views expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and/or their affiliate and subordinated ministries and/or nonprofits. So, by all means, enjoy the show. I just coughed in everybody's ear. Sorry about that, everyone. And here we go. Merge. Good morning! Coming to you live from Acts Media Group headquarters here in the beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your hosts. Matt and Jay! Look at my greasy hands this morning. We got Steve McAllister in the studio with us today wearing his Garpax Memorial shirt.
That's right.
The legend moves on.
Yes. Rest in peace there,
Gary Paxton, writer of the Monster Mash.
and Alley-oop. And Jesus was there all the time.
That's a pretty popular one.
Yeah, that one was really popular.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt,
My name is Jay.
My name is Steve.
and we're glad to have everybody with us today. Okay, so not really a lot on the docket this morning.
Oh.
I know I call it a docket because that's what I'm used to referring to things that I do is having to be on the docket because, you know, I've been in jail a few times.
I haven't been at,
Have you
This
been in
isn't
jail
what-
before?
I haven't been in jail yet.
Well, that's just because you're smart enough to not get caught, huh? You know, I'm pretty sure 90% of the people you meet out there in the world would have been in jail at least once if they had been caught.
Including these drivers that are out there on 65.
Not just 65. They're not just on
44.
65, buddy.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
That's true. Well, 60 and 44 and 65 lately, though. I mean,
Most people drive pretty reasonably. On a motorcycle, I know that they say it's dangerous, and I've learned a lot about how to drive and, you know, a motorcycle careful, you know, to be seen. And the main problem I run into is people who think it's funny to pump brake you. So they act like they're going to pull out in front of you just to see you freak out.
Well, that's not nice.
or turn on the left-hand turn signal and turn right.
Yeah. Or don't use a turn signal at all.
When Jay and I used to drive all the way to Dadeville every Sunday, there's a curve there, you know, that goes in towards where you got Wimpy's and all that stuff right there, and you turn and you veer off to go down 123 instead of 123 instead of 160, or vice versa.
Yeah,
It's not enough to kick the blinker switch back.
Oh, man.
So I'd be driving, and it's the right blinker. Jay would always go, "Are you all right, Matt?" "Oh, I'm fine. Why?" And he would just sit there cheesing, and and I'd have to turn my blinker off.
You know, I love it when these people, you know, have you ever seen the ads where they say blinker fluid on sale?
Morning, Dad.
Yeah.
Morning, Jeremiah.
That's pretty
I'm like,
funny.
so, and I tell Rachel, I say, you know what? A lot of people have left a lot of fluid and not changed their fluid or not.
Got Dr. Paul sneaking in and eating up a little bit of our time advertising for his show coming up Friday, the
Well,
Happy
of
Hour.
course. Hello, Dr. Paul.
It's funny. Jump in there, advertise
How
the show,
dare
and then
he.
jump right back out.
Yeah, he
Jeremiah
has to do
man
that.
says his life just got interesting. He has a stalker.
Oh boy.
Well, you know, that's a chance that you take whenever you put yourself in the public view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had kind of a stalker at one time.
We've been pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord and thank God for that.
Well, also, Jim is pretty picky about who he lets stay friends with Acts Ministry or Acts Media Group's Facebook page. He likes to have people that are in the middle. You know, not too left and not too far right.
I personally think that's the way to be because it'll go too far either way.
Yeah.
At least in the middle, we can all kind of say, you know, and talk.
That's nice of Susan Burrows. She said, I have named all my Good Morning Drive family. Aw, that's neat.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay, so
And Cindy Flowers said good morning.
So right now I'm leaning a little bit right, but I'm starting to swing back.
really,
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the wall, yeah, it's an issue, and I think we should have it, but I don't think that's really the solution to the problem.
right? You've never said you've never felt that was a solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's the solution to our border problem, but that's not a solution to why people are coming to the border.
In the first place.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I can't imagine.
Morning,
a
Larry
condition-
Melton.
Yeah, I would pack up and move if I had a better idea, a better prospect. Yes, but for people to pack up and move and have their families and children in the hands of other people to go across a border in a place where they're not wanted and likely to be rejected,
Or
that's-
arrested.
or arrested, yeah, and separated from their families. Now that's something that says something about the conditions that are more than just having a good life and choosing to try to do something different to make something better. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then how on foot through the deserts? Yeah, something's wrong there, and I think that's the real problem.
It'd have to be somebody leading them, like somebody who knows how to lead an army.
You know, and
Because it takes economics to be able to move a group of people that far without them turning on each other.
and I think our economic plan has gone too far to the right.
You think so?
Yep, it's
I don't
gone
think
way out.
way too far. If a mother and a father can't have a family without both of them working and paying somebody else to raise their children and sending them off to a school with ideals they do not agree with, where things are being taught that are not true, and what's the alternative? Poverty. That's it. That's the alternative. I don't think that's a good economic plan.
No. I was gonna use my sound effect and go, no.
No.
But in this current world political arena, how do you maintain the power?
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Go ahead, continue.
Nah, it's all right.
I didn't know that was still playing. I was gonna do a bunch of sound effects while you were being all. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'll put this down.
You're in
I'm
that kind
terrible.
of mood, I'm telling you.
No, I just I have a tendency of getting really distracted really easily.
ADHD.
So I'll just have to put this down and slide it over there. to the
No,
side.
it's okay.
It's too tempting, Jay.
ADHD? No,
It's
no.
all right.
It's something DHD.
Do your thing.
Well. There we go.
Right.
Will that work?
Yes, that'll be that's good.
I need to update it so I get more sounds. More.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. I want to get an actual.
That was one thing we didn't ask when the missionaries were here: is how do they see this
Jim Wanning's watching on
immigration
YouTube.
situation, and
Good morning, Jim.
Who is it that's leaving where they are to come here
Yeah.
illegally?
Then what kind of place are they? What kind of place does a place they're leaving become when they do leave?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're leaving because it's getting too rough, they're just going to leave only the ruffians there.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
so
the-
you're right. Why are they leaving in the first place?
Are they being pushed out or are they leaving on their own?
Right, and those are questions we should be asking. Not,
Right, Jeremiah. That's right. Good morning, Larry Melton. Jeremiah said the same thing. Young couples can't make it today.
No.
Old couples can't make it today.
No.
Well, and
even
and
in
our,
America.
and our what would you call it? The environment, the sexuality today, and the politicizing of sexuality has really caused a problem for young people.
Yeah.
I was talking to a young man who's been in a couple of relationships that he thought were great. I mean, he was in love, planning a family and all that, and then it just was something, and everything went, all of a
South.
sudden it was gone. And so in an environment where people can't commit to each other and depend on one another.
Well, also, the way it is today, people, and the way it's fed to them via media, people are always afraid that they're going to miss the bigger, better deal.
It's a constant prospecting environment.
Yes, even whenever you own the rights to a certain gold mine, you're looking for another that may have more gold in it.
Right, and that's a problem.
And there's a reason why the scripture tells us to be content with what we have. Is because if you're content with what you have, that's true happiness right there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
And
people,
you're facing the problems instead of walking away from them.
Right.
And people that have all these things, when you're a missionary and you go to these other countries, you can't wait to get back to get a cheeseburger. But it's like with these poor people that are living in boxes, you're really like, man, I really have what I have. Meaning, I'm just grateful for what I have because there's other people in the other parts of the world that don't have what you have, and so then you're greedy. Like, for instance, Christmas. Oh, I want this, I want that, I want a bike, But then these other kids are doing without, but they're saying,
I want a morsel of food.
yeah,
I want a full stomach.
But
I want a grain of rice.
But you know what? I wonder, these other countries where you have, say a third world country, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you have entire villages together scratching out their existence, do we really want to sell them an economic plan that separates them all and puts them to work constantly and can't even be around their own children? Where they go home exhausted at night, sit on the couch, tell the kids to shut up, hand them a video game?
Yeah, that
Is that really the economic plan we want to promote as liberty?
Yeah, because I
That's
think
not liberty.
we're a society where we're just gimme, and there's other people in the other parts of the world, like I said, that don't have anything, and they're just grateful for just a piece of food or a piece of something where they can make do. They're happy, and you think,
I just got a message from Jim. He said, Jason is in pain. Call us together for his healing. This is what we do as Christians. So we're calling to all of our prayer warriors out there to pray for Jason's back and his shoulder, and your neck, pretty much from head to toe.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've been having a lot of problems in my back.
Because he's going to be building a schoolie here before long, and he needs all the.
It's going to be a
lack
while. I
of
mean, that's
pain.
like probably that's a ways out, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to I'm not going to say it's a certain number of years or whatever, but it's some things I have to work out, and that's the direction I'm going to work for now.
well,
But that's what I'm saying is this. I think the only hope we have of true liberty, to be liberated even from an economic plan, is to promote liberty around the world, individual liberty around the world. Because the way it is now with economic power, world power, nations with massive amounts of power, always posturing against each other, and if you push it too far, I'll push this button and we'll be done. Those are that's stupid.
Yeah.
And then to promote economic plans that really, our economic plan is a good one because it's such a massive economy the way it is that we can maintain the power that provides us what liberty we have. But that liberty is disappearing because we're putting up borders. And I'm not saying I don't think we should protect the border. I do think we should. But the thing about it is if we're not promoting liberty in the country on the other side of that wall, eventually they're going to come over that wall, and it's not going to be looking for opportunities in the way that they might join our society and become part of something better. It'll be there saying, we want your resources and we're going to take them. So you see what I mean? Without liberty, a person can't scratch out the existence where they are and do what they have to do where they are and see that there's hope, that they have a choice to make a difference where they are. If we're not promoting liberty around the world, these borders are going to squeeze in smaller and smaller and smaller until we're surrounded by nothing but enemies who want to take what we have. And in the end, it'll be an economy and power.
Well, that's what I think is going on right now with the Democrats. The way things are going on right now, it feels like we're being squeezed into a society to where it's going to be all.
But it's the
they
Republicans'
want.
economic plan that's winning right now.
A what?
It's the Republicans' economic plan that's winning right now.
Oh, it's winning, but then the Democrats are
thriving.
trying to override that.
And yes, it gives us power. But like I said, our economic plan that right now is so
Some
far to the
Democrats.
right and the Republican right,
Thank you, Jim.
our economic plan right now that is producing so much wealth and allowing the United States to maintain such a high level of power in the world stage is one that is sucking the life out of our families with no hope of recovering.
Dad says, all right, if they come legally.
You know,
I mean, that's true. I mean, like Trump said, he's not saying he doesn't want Mexican people over here, but he wants them to come through the door.
Yeah.
But you're right, we
over the
should.
wall.
Yeah, or under it, and, and they're going to. Like we've had this conversation on here numerous times with people who are pro-wall or against it. Which makes it interesting. But real quick, I want to pull up our naturalsolutionstore.bz.
Oh boy! And then I got a comment after this commercial.
Okay. Stay tuned for Steve's comment after the commercial. If I can pull my page up here. All right. So, Jay, are you about ready for commercial time?
No.
No?
No.
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 Yeah. Okay.
Hold on. Mine's still not wanting to. Oh, there we are. Boy,
Get
this
it
thing
together,
is so
Matthew.
slow today. I gotta take some of the stuff out of this and.
But I'm
Tragic.
saying the only way we could maintain the power we have and liberty and back off of this economic plan that requires so much of a family is we would have to promote liberty around the world and educate people on the psychology of advertisement where you're not always getting into and pursuing all these vain things that don't give you anything, that don't do anything for you except take your money and support this massive thriving economy. But the only way, because look, our economy needs to be so big so that we can defend ourselves against the other countries of the world. That's
Well,
the
we
only-
have the largest military budget of any other country in the world.
Right, and it's because of our economic plan. So I'm not down in the economic plan. I'm downing the ultimate plan. If we're gonna be just America and only concerned about America, look, we have to promote liberty around the world, or else, like I said, all of the other countries around us will become our enemies, wanting what we have.
They already are becoming our enemies.
Exactly.
But real quick, speaking of enemies,
You ready?
yes.
Oh boy!
There you are.
Speaking of enemies,
There you are.
there's certain foods and stuff that we eat when we're in different countries, even that become our enemies. So today's show is brought to you by naturalsolutionstore.bz, and the product I'm going to talk about is berberine HCI. So you're probably wondering, what is berberine HCI? Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I'm about to answer it. Sit tight because this is going to be really exciting.
All right,
You're going to be on the edge of your seat for the rest of this show. I'm talking at least another 30 seconds before you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, are you ready?
Yes.
You got to get ready. You need to get ready for this. Sorry.
I'm ready.
.bz.
Berberine has antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and immune-enhancing properties. It's effective against a wide range of bacteria and protozoa and fungi. It can be used topically on cuts and wounds also. It is perhaps most commonly used to treat gastrointestinal issues, including,
Here
and
we
this is
go.
what I said, traveler's diarrhea, which is never fun. That can turn a family vacation into a nightmare. And from food poisoning, preliminary research suggests that berberine's beneficial effects may cascade into helping many different conditions. Among them are depression, cancer, and it's an antioxidant. Yeah, there we go. It helps to stop the spread of infections, including antiviral effects against the flu and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And it helps to reduce the fat buildup in your liver. So berberine has been shown to lower cholesterol and blood sugar and assist in weight loss and improve your heart health. So go online, if any of this applies to you, and pick up a bottle of berberine HCI today. Back to you guys.
.bz.
We're back. So I don't know. I mean, I know you're hardcore Republican, but what do you think?
I'm
about
really
all
not
this?
hardcore Republican.
I'm
really
No,
not.
I'm just kidding.
Don't let Dad's on the line. Sorry, Dad.
And the media sucks us into these ideas where we get this kind of vision, and don't like the wall. I'm sorry, but I don't think it's a godly thing. When they talk about when the Word of God tells us about foreigners, It doesn't say anything like that. Well, except it does. They did build a wall around Jerusalem because there were enemies at the gate.
Jericho.
Right. So we have to consider that we do have to protect ourselves against
East
our
Berlin.
enemies, and that may mean a wall.
That wasn't
But
a good
what
wall,
about
though.
the other immigrants who just
China.
want, or travelers, or what about them? We've got to find a way to solve this in a way that, number one, I think is godly, and number two, provides liberty to the people around the world. If we're letting other countries, or if we're just sitting by while other countries in the world squeeze the liberty out of people, and people just don't have liberty to be who they want to be and who they are, then we're losing it. We're going to lose it. There's no way to maintain
What's the
this.
comment that you had before the commercial?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it's not actually mine, it's Cindy Flowers. Human trafficking is a huge, is huge at the border. Many of those families are not actually families, but many kids have been kidnapped and going to be sold, I mean. And then she said 2 Corinthians 3:17, that's true liberty.
Larry Milton said we need
What
people
is?
to come here.
That people are able to human traffic?
No, that's true liberty. She was
I'm
just
s-
saying that's true liberty is what we were all talking about bound in the Bible. That's true
You know,
liberty.
I don't. Here's the thing: those kinds of issues, the solution to those is the same way the cartels are controlling people and bringing fear. Their punishment needs to be one that nobody
George
wants.
Dizzle?
The price for those activities need to be though. Hey, the Bible says be better when they go to heaven. It'd be better for them to have had a millstone tied around their neck and thrown into the sea.
Yeah.
I'm saying let's make that let's make that the price.
Tie a millstone to their neck and throw them in the sea.
Absolutely.
That's
For
what
everyone
a
to
lot of
see.
people would agree.
This is what happens.
That's one
This
way
is
of
what
doing it.
happens when you are found guilty in the act of doing this.
Morning, Steve Schultz. Larry Melton. I mean, right now our economy is as such. We have more jobs than there are people willing to work, and we've got so many people willing to work that are wanting to come across the border.
That's not a good thing.
You don't think? No, it's not a good thing.
It isn't.
Too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
It can be.
You know,
yes.
if it has to, our what do you call our economy is balanced delicately on the head of a needle.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
If a
You know-
company can't fill its orders,
They're going to
Then
lose
it will
business.
if it doesn't have enough employees and it fills its orders, that means its employees are
Working twice as hard.
their lives are consumed with work. And I see it all the time as a cashier. We have parades of people, one after the other, exhausted like zombies at the end of the day, late at the end of the day, headed home with nothing left.
Yeah.
And
And
that
they still got a
paycheck
few
doesn't
hours
pay
before they're
for
able to go to
anything.
bed. Because you get there, you don't want to go to bed immediately because you want to visit with your family.
Yeah.
If you don't have family, then you can go to bed.
That's
But-
not a good economy. And it's both parents.
Yeah. Dad says, I think he meant, seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. That's what Dad says.
I'm not
Only it
sure
says-
what he's talking about.
Only it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God.
But what is
Shiki?
that in, what is that in
All
reference
right.
to?
All of this. So the first thing we need to do is seek the kingdom of God and its righteousness.
You know what? The Word of God provides us all with liberty.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying, is if we're, and it should be
That's
the
true
principles
liberty.
of the Word of God.
Morning, Priscilla Kemp. Jordan Blue says, "Hey, Dad, love you. Can't wait to come over. We'll see you on Friday."
And feel free to disagree with me. I have strong arguments about it, and here's the thing.
Jeremiah says, "We have already lost it when your phone listens to your private conversations."
Good point. I've heard that lately.
And then Steve Schultz
I'm
says,
not up to anything that
"Would
they
you
want
guys
here.
work for $2 an hour? That is what they pay in Mexico."
Yep. It's
Right.
true.
Of course,
I'd come to America.
Tijuana's that way. Well, I don't know if it's still $2 an hour, but that's what I remember.
I'd want to come to America.
Now they do have the one thing they do have. I think that we should adopt here, in all seriousness, siesta time.
Yeah.
They shut
And you know
everything
what?
down from
They
2 to
s-
4 or 2 to 5
Oh, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
for
Yep.
nap time.
and it's family time.
Yeah, and you get a 30-minute nap in there, and then spend time with your family, and then go back to work. Your day's going to be so much better, unless you have a really nagging
They
spouse.
do work
Wives
later into the night,
Yes.
but those 2 hours are a part of the better 2 hours of your day before you're exhausted, before you're run down and have used yourself up.
Yeah.
You know, in the middle of the day,
Now, don't get me wrong. I work 40 hours a week in my regular full-time job, and I put in about, 15 to 20 hours a week here. This isn't work to me. This
No,
here is not.
not
This
to
is
me either.
you and I were together, family time. You and I were together.
This is
we're
our
family.
outreach.
And you and I, we're all together. This is a giant family. We're sitting here talking with our family members, essentially. But, and I'm not going to say how much I make because there are people watching that would be very upset. So let's just say I make a good amount of money for the job that I do. I mean, I'm well paid, but still, I live not above my means per se, but like right at my means.
I think part of that is
And that's
commercialism.
Yeah.
but
Sometimes
here's
that's
the thing.
okay.
If everybody started to control themselves and said, I'm not going to buy that thing because I don't really need it, and it's just going to end up in the closet.
I guess it's only in certain places in Mexico. It used to be a national thing, but Steve said they didn't shut down for nap time while he was there.
It's because it was an American company.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
That's true.
and you buy all these things, and they end up in your garage and in the closet, and you see them when you need to move them out of your way because they've cluttered up some space you need to use, right?
Right.
But if
You're
we
like, that
all,
was a good investment.
here's the thing: is if we all displayed a little self-control, the economy would collapse, because the economy runs on the production of those things, the production and sale. Those are all businesses that would collapse, or at least would lose their value and lose their customer base.
So, and I guess you make a point, Larry. He said $10 a month is what the rent is in Mexico, and then he says good is cheap. Steve says no, Matt, they didn't do that when I was there, and we've already addressed that. And then Dad says, yeah, right, and I don't know what he's talking about. On that, he might have been talking about we need to start a nap time.
Wouldn't that be interesting here in America? Nap time for
And
2
Larry
hours.
does have a point. He says you can make $100 and have a lot of fun in Mexico, and a lot of that fun is not godly fun.
No.
But there is fun you can have that's not against God, in Mexico.
I see people driving their motorcycles across Mexico, and the fun they're having is that they go to this just hole-in-the-wall place, basically a Mexican family living out in the boondocks with a little house where if you are hungry, they'll feed you.
You know what? And they do.
They do.
And they bring you into that house.
was in the
and
Navy,
you
and
sit at their table,
Yeah.
and then you enjoy
They
their
would give you
dinner
this.
with them.
They would give you this the spot of honor.
Yeah.
Whenever I used to do what do you call that? Construction, and the Mexican workers. Let's face it, a lot of construction sites have Mexican workers, and they would be sitting there, and it's a group. It's a group ordeal. Lunch is
It's like a family.
And at the time, I wasn't making enough money to really buy my lunches, so they'd see me sitting there drinking a soda pop and not doing nothing, and they wouldn't leave me alone until I came over, sat down, and had some of their food with them.
It's true.
And they were.
The
Though most of them
hospitality.
couldn't speak English, there's always at least one that could, and you could always tell which one it was.
And there's
'cause-
no way to get that out of our
And the
economic plan.
hospitality is just unreal over there.
Oh,
It
yeah.
really is.
You can't. Our economic
Hard
plan does not allow it.
working. They would put in 16 hours a day. They would start bricking a house, and a week later it would be completely done. And we're talking like 5 to 7 bedrooms here.
Their families and friends are working together, though.
Yeah.
too. Their crews are
I
families
think,
and friends.
I think that's what's going on over at our apartment complex is that we've got Mexicans, and they're there until just after dark. Not after dark, but just
Oh, yeah.
about dark.
Where they can't really see what they're doing anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and I always admired that, and I always admired the giving spirit that they had. No matter where I went, I used to work at a resort, a very well-known resort. I'm not going to mention the name of, up in Camden County, and I'm pretty sure you know which one it is. And my entire crew, with the exception of a couple people, were Mexican people.
I believe that.
And granted, 90% of them were not here legally, And
But
we
who's
found
gonna
that
say anything
we
if they're
found
working
that
hard?
out when they raided a few houses, and all of a sudden I didn't have a crew anymore, but maybe like 1 or 2 people.
And that bothers me. Did they find anything illegal except for people who weren't legally here?
I don't know.
I mean, I see,
didn't ask the
I
deets.
see the problem. But if these people weren't drug dealers and up to illegal activity, except for not paying the taxes because they didn't want to report something that would get them all deported.
Larry said that when he went to Mexico, he had his own cab driver, and that cab driver treated him like the president.
Wow.
Now they do.
Yeah, that's true.
They treat us when we go over there, with the exception of the cartel, far better than we treat them when they come over here. You know what I mean?
I treat them all with dignity and respect.
Yeah,
and
because
love
they
and
are human
kindness,
beings. We all reside on the same continent.
and I welcome them.
You know, we all
I mean,
reside.
I never
when I
had
say
a problem
them,
with taxi drivers when I was in the Navy.
They're
over
South
there.
American. We're North American.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't see the problem.
sure,
I mean,
build the wall, stop all that crime and all that stuff. Those things that are destroying people's
make
lives.
it easier for law-abiding citizens over there to come over here.
But that gate's got to be big. It's got to be wide, and we got to let people in here.
Yeah, they need to make it easier for them to become citizens.
I don't know how you would vet them and all that, and I think it's part of the price to pay. Is that sometimes bad things are going to happen. Sometimes bad people are going to get through that gate,
Yeah.
and they're going to do bad things. But then they should be subject to the requirement of the law. And justice is another
That's
reason.
very true, Priscilla.
Justice is another reason why our country's failing. Even if it's not really failing in the court, our perceptions that we would get from the media and what we see of justice is that justice is not just.
I
And
do.
it's bought and sold by the wealthy.
I do love the Mexican culture.
Mm.
You know, they have a very rich culture and history
That's true.
of culture.
Yeah.
You know, they're all the decorative. Mom's got Mexican stuff decorating the house all over the place. I don't know. I don't think it was actually made in Mexico, but it's made to, you know, to
That
But I
feel.
see people from the Ukraine. I see people from all different countries
Russia?
all across Russia. All the countries in Europe, I see people. Not as much the northern European countries or the far southern, but the central and eastern countries. I see a lot of people from there at work.
Did you just? I just noticed that your notepad is wearing a hoodie.
Yeah, very
Yes.
nice. I know.
Now, did you make that yourself, or
No, I got this from actually a company that I used to work with in Michigan. It's an educational management company called Mosaic. I can't say that without having any problem. So
well, they are not a sponsor, but that is a really cool notebook
yes,
with really cool little hoodie on it.
yeah. I mean, I thought I told him that was a genius.
That's, you know, and you can put your phone in that pocket. Is that a functioning pocket?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you probably should have put your phone in there so you wouldn't have dropped it and cracked it this morning.
Yeah.
Rachel's
Rachel-
probably watching right now, and she
Oh no.
he cracked his cell phone. Screen
That's
today.
well. That's I'd call that more than a crack.
That's a shatter.
That's a shadow.
This is more like a shatter, and you know, pieces of glass are falling.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, little pieces.
Ooh.
I'm like, the money. Susan said the money that they make here, they send back their money back to Mexico.
That is a good thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good thing because look, and why is that should be a good thing. They can support their families at home, so they're not immigrating to the United
Yeah.
States.
So actually,
So
they're
that there's
doing
a
good
cash flow there where they can do something at home to improve their condition.
Right. They can
But the
keep
problem
some
is with
money
the crime
and then
and
send
the
it back home to their
cartels.
family.
Are after that money.
Except the law. Okay, so Jeremiah says, except the law, the cost of living here is spinning out of control. That's true. Priscilla says Americans have grown to expect freeloaders. That's true. They think that the Mexican people that are coming over here are just freeloaders wanting a free ticket.
There are some people that
There are some, yes, but a lot of them just want to work and send money back home to their family.
Most of the people I see that at work that could be accused of
And the food
freeloading
is great, Larry. You are correct.
are either mentally ill or severely addicted to some substance. Those are the people that I see that are
I would
really
agree with that.
The rest of the people that I see are all busting their hump.
Yeah. Well, you can get better drugs in Mexico than you can here.
Yeah, it's pure.
I mean,
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
It's
I mean,
made,
you think
and it's more pure or heavier. Or
however you
something
want
like
to call it, yeah. But I mean, it's easier to get that stuff in Mexico than it
Are
is
they
here.
really using a lot of drugs there?
I don't think so. They probably are not.
We are the capital of drug use in
I
the
think
world.
that they make it and then sell it cheaper, and then they bring it over here.
I know that Missouri used to be the meth capital of the world.
I think Branson's
But the
getting
products
that way,
they were using to
unfortunately.
make the meth came from Mexican.
Well, Branson's really getting to that point.
what are they
where
called? Pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
Branson's getting to the point where they're actually raiding meth labs in neighborhoods that you wouldn't think that they would be in those neighborhoods.
Oh yeah, yeah. And they're and a meth lab could be just right underneath somebody's sink.
Actually, they actually not destroyed, I shouldn't say that. They actually condemned a motel that was actually one of those, I don't want to say hole in the wall, but the real small.
I know what you're talking about.
Well, they actually.
In Branson?
Yeah.
I think I might know which one it is. Right there off the main strip. Yeah, I think I've dropped somebody off there before.
I don't get that either. I don't think that we really want to fight a war on drugs because, look, all you've got to do is take the people who have recovered or even in early recovery or those who are just crashing. I went to the bottom again and again and again, and I would have been perfectly willing for somebody to take a picture and tell a story about why you should never do that.
Morning, Bruce Dixon.
We could have a pretty honest campaign about what addictive substances can do to your life. Show the people who are young what it really means.
Okay, so Dwayne McDaniel, the brother of my son Jordan, says, I had a house built 2 years ago. I could not believe how many foreigners are building houses. Had a foundation done. They were Mexicans that did the foundation. I was there watching them that day. They left to go to lunch. They showed back up after lunch and gave me a Gatorade. The people that bricked the house were also Mexicans, and the ones that put the shingles on the roof also Mexicans. So, but the fact that they brought him a Gatorade, call me crazy, but those little things like that mean the world to me.
They make the world a
Yeah.
better place.
Yes, and
It puts a smile on your face.
let's all try to do something nice for somebody this week. Just it may not seem like much to you. You may not want to do it.
You could be the
Do it.
one.
Yeah, you could be the answer to a prayer.
Exactly.
Part of the problem is too wealth and greed.
Yes.
I think, bravo. I mean, we want people to thrive and to be able to invest in our country. But when the wealth and greed requires so much of a family that it can't exist anymore, I think it's gone too far.
Let's see what Jim has to say.
A family is not a family when it has to send its children away to somebody else every day.
I was getting ready to quote you on this, but I wanted to ask your permission first, Jim. Jim and I were talking, and he had mentioned we should just legalize everything. He says, is there a difference between legalizing all alcohol products and all drugs?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But I think people need an honest truth about what this could lead to.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of addicts who are who are at the bottom, and a lot of addicts who are in recovery and coming up to the top, who would all be perfectly willing to uncandidly tell a true story about what this could lead to, so that our children are informed when they try these things and they see a true perspective about where it could lead. And the difference between, a life of that and what the alternative could be. So when you see a recovering addict now who's really got it, who's really doing well, you see the contrast with and without in such a real way. And I think those are perspectives. Why isn't that part of our campaign against drugs? Not to make it illegal and create a whole underground, violent, dangerous. Maybe legalization is the key, but legalization by itself is not. When you make these things all readily available with no real good information and perspective about where they could lead you, I mean, the utter devastation to people's lives
yeah.
when they get addicted to these things.
Well, you know, people are going to get whatever drug they want, regardless of the legalities of it.
I'm not promoting making drugs legal either, but
No, I know, but
because of the greed. Because they'll push. Look at cigarettes. You know, I don't agree. I think people should go be able to kill themselves
guess
however
that's-
they want.
that's a good point. Jeremiah he says if you take away pain and suffering, you take away the demand for drugs.
You can't take away pain and suffering. It's just part of life.
Yeah.
It's part of the curse. Part
If
of
you-
sin.
But if you could lower it a little bit, but of course, you know, a lot of people cause their own pain and suffering. A lot of pain and suffering is self-inflicted, whether we realize it or not.
Actually,
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
So
It is.
it's our falling away from God that causes the most pain, if you ask me.
It says, God says, when you choose sin, He'll give you over to it.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, that's how He punished the Israelites numerous times. Was He just took His hand of protection off of them, and let their sin cause the trouble that it
Yep,
caused.
and it sure did.
Yeah, and then they would cry out to Him and say, you know, we're sorry, Lord,
We're dying here.
we're dying here, and He would bring His hand back into their lives.
Not
So-
always. Sometimes He said, you're going to have to live this out, and your children.
But you know, He
and
told them.
I will answer your prayer to your children.
Well, He told them every 7 years go without planting or sowing or anything, and then that was also the year, I guess, the year of Jubilee, where they would forgive all debts, and it's supposed to be a time of replenishment, a time of the nutrients getting back into the earth the way they need to be, and they never did that because of greed and wanting to always have more and more and more. Well, after 70 times of them skipping that, He made them do it. He let Babylon take them away from their land for 70 years.
They had to pay.
That's an entire generation.
Yep.
70 years. And that way the land replenished us. There's a reason why. God doesn't say to do that just because I said so. You do that because if you don't do that, you have things like the Dust Bowl.
Because He gave us this good thing, and
Yeah.
He told us how it works. And if we do what He says, it works better.
Priscilla Kemp says a lot of people like being miserable. A lot of people do, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah, and
I
you
think
can
maybe
tell
just the
if
dish
they
was
like being
served.
miserable just by their body language.
I think it's the dish we're served.
Yeah.
If we don't cave in to the impulses and compulsion of commercialism, our economy collapses. Because if you don't buy the boat, the guy who builds the boat doesn't have a job.
Right.
So there's something inherently wrong with this commercial process that we're involved in.
You know, well, this is a pretty heavy conversation today. Speaking of you know,
Heavy
standards, heavy conversation, and you know, the way the economy works. The next up, the show that's after ours today is the New Gold Standard with
The New Gold
Tony
Standard.
Hammock, and
Hello there, Tony.
he will be talking about economics.
Mm-hmm.
Not like home economics like they used to have. You know, I saw a thing advertised the other day, and it said that a lot of schools are offering what they're calling adulting classes that teach them how to pay the
Adulting
bills, and
Is that your wire?
yes, that's my wire that you keep pulling. And I'm thinking, that's home ec. We had that in my school. We had, of course, all the girls took home ec. The boys were not
They had
encouraged.
well, not woodworking, but band stuff.
Shop, yeah, shop, 4-H, stuff like that. And I didn't care. I took home ec. I was the only guy in there.
So
But you know what? I know how to cook.
And economics don't really teach financial management.
I don't use
Personal
checks. I don't use checks because once I write them, I'll forget about them sometimes, and I don't want to bounce any checks. I've learned what works best for me, and it's not writing checks.
rubber checks are bad.
Yeah. rubber
Why'd you
check-
learn? Why'd you have to learn that through trial and error, though? Why
Isn't that
aren't we
right,
teaching
Tony?
that in schools?
Well, I mean, I didn't really have to learn it trial and error because Dad taught me, Mom taught me, and they tried drilling it into my head, but I was too stubborn. I was going to do things my way. It didn't matter. But you know what ended up happening is I ended up, my credit score was bombed, so I couldn't really get credit cards or any like high form of credit, which is probably a blessing in disguise.
Probably. I would say yes.
Because at my age, to only have $3,000 worth of revolving credit card debt, is people would probably kill to have that.
Yeah.
And I don't plan on having any more credit cards or I don't want to get any more loans except for the one that I get through my bank that helps my credit score. But that's that's just I'm rebuilding my credit successfully.
Yeah.
I'm almost there
patiently.
myself.
Yeah, and I have anxiety whenever I can't pay bills or whenever I even think I'm going to have a hard time paying a bill. I mean, I do stress out about it, but at the same time, I know that God's got this.
But our economic system revolves around that stress and pressure, and
Yeah.
that extreme level of commitment, of credit.
Larry calls that boneheaded decisions.
of commitment to credit and commitment to borrowing.
Yeah,
If
Susan
we're
won-
not borrowing, our economy collapse.
Yeah.
yeah, Susan said that she won a home economics award in school.
Well, I'd have to say Mom and Dad taught me how to cook. Home ec did not. Mom and Dad taught me how to bake. And, then there's stuff that takes a lot of work. So one thing that I do now, and this is my bachelor pointer for the day.
Okay, here
If you
comes.
like Spanish rice,
Oh, here it
right?
comes.
You like Spanish rice?
Oh yeah.
It's really good. What you do is you go down to Taco Bell and you get a whole bunch of mild packets or hot packets, whichever you my mouth is watering thinking about this. And you get minute rice, right?
Right.
Well, you boil the water and then you dump a whole bunch of those packets in there, like half water and half sauce packets,
Oh
and
man.
throw in the rice and
That's a
stir it
lot
up.
of sauce.
Well, maybe not that much.
Oh,
You can
man,
put
my
at least
stomach is like.
No, but I get it.
For
That's
one
a lot
cup-
of flavor. It's delicious.
Yeah, for like 1 cup, you probably would use, I want to say 5 or 6 or 7 packets of Taco Bell sauce.
Right.
They're not a sponsor, but whenever it
They
all
are
absorbs
delicious.
and stuff, and you stir it up,
They could be.
it's Spanish rice.
Yeah.
It really does taste like Spanish rice. I
There
don't
you
care who you are, it's Spanish rice.
That's what I call a Chef Matt.
That's you know what I should start. We really do need to start doing that cooking show, bachelor cooking.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
hey,
there
what can
go.
you do with ramen noodles?
Oh,
You can make a
tons.
peanut butter sandwich out of ramen noodles.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Just
I've
break it
never-
in half, smear peanut butter on it, and just eat it. It's a crunchy peanut butter sandwich.
Ooh.
But
That's interesting.
they do all kinds of things. They make pizza out of
Oh,
them.
pizza for breakfast. and
Yeah.
Spaghetti for breakfast, like I did.
I can't eat ramen noodles, otherwise,
I've had ramen noodles.
I eat a lot of them.
The soup.
so good.
I've done the soup. I've done the ramen noodles with spaghetti sauce. And I mean, it's
Steve says all his kids can cook. Steve Schultz does.
my nephew. He was really good. In fact, one of my nephews had a YouTube show called Food Fields, and he actually was on. He was a chef, and he actually made dinners and lunches and breakfasts on YouTube. I don't know if he still does, but
Larry Melton says, I took cooking because I like to eat.
well, that's a
Makes
good
sense.
reason.
Steve Schultz's daughter took shop.
All right.
See, I didn't take shop.
There was 1 or 2 girls in my shop class.
I was a choir boy. Choir consumed my high school career.
I did that too.
Many parents do not teach their kids about finance and budget.
No, they
That's
don't.
true. Because many parents don't have their finances or budget under control.
So why
Yeah,
So
teach
they're
their
going to teach
kids?
them how not
Because
to be.
we haven't been teaching it in school for a very long time. We've taught kind of subcategories of it, but not actually taught and demonstrated the true life truth about what it means to manage finances in a home. And
Larry Melton said he took driver's ed 3 years in a row. He had his own car, but he just wanted to get out of class. It makes sense. Well, it's time for us to get out of here, everybody.
Oh.
sorry about the downer subjects.
No,
Yeah,
we-
you
But I
really
think
bummed me
we-
out. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, we've got to think about these things though, because
Yeah,
what
you
is our
do.
future otherwise?
Pow, pow, now.
that's all I got to say about that subject. Sorry, you finish your last words, your last thoughts?
That was it.
Okay, I'm going to start up our music because it is time for us to get out of here. That's the
Hey,
wrong
cool. That's a good way to end it. Oh,
They're both my songs, so yes, we do have express video recorded permission that we can use that song. So, anyways, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on the Morning Drive today. We'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same channel. So be sure and tune in next for the new Gold Standard with Tony Hammock.
Yep.
Until then, my friends, God bless you and keep you. My name is Matt,
My name is Jay.
my name's Steve.
and this has been
The Morning Drive.
Okay, good. Attention, everybody. The views and expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinated ministries and or nonprofits. So without any further ado, I give you the new gold standard with Tony Hammock. Take it away, Tony.
Good morning, Acts Ministry viewing audience in Springfield, Missouri, Southwest Missouri. We got a nice, sunny, fantastic morning out there. A little brisk, but yeah, it's that time of year. It's December. Today's what, December 11th? Yeah, December 11th, Wednesday. And I've got a really, I think, neat show lined up this morning. I'm going to flip things around a little bit. It seems like lately when I have a guest speaker, we try and focus on that first, and then we do all the housekeeping second. This morning it's going to be just the opposite. I'm going to do some housekeeping first, and then I've got a guest that she says she'll be here physically at about 9:30. If she isn't, she'll call in and we'll do it remote and everything. But it should be a great interview with Shelly Hampton. If you know Shelly down at Shapeshifters, she's got some interesting things for year-end finance ideas. And probably the best thing for me to do is let's just jump right into the devotional on being a good steward. I like this one, and that's why I like to get it out of the way. I'd hate to miss it, but I know Jim likes it, and we're switching to a new course this week. We've now done in this show, since we started it back in July, we've now done 2 full courses on stewardship. And I saw some really interesting ones as I was picking this one out. There was several that had to deal with money and relationships. And money and marriages. So if you have an interest in going through one of those, text Matt and let him know, and we'll queue that up for the next one. This one only has, I think, 4 courses. And today's course being the first one, the devotional is, this verse is so often misquoted that it is almost laughable. Many of us have it ingrained in us that money is the root of all evil. But as we examine 1 Timothy 6:10, we learn the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Money is not evil. The love of it is. Having $1 million in your bank account doesn't mean you love it. Having $5 in your account doesn't prove you don't. So how can we tell if we love money? We can start by asking ourselves these questions. Does my pursuit of money interfere with obeying God? Do I always look for something that will benefit me financially, regardless of how it affects others? When it comes to helping others, am I more concerned what my cost will be instead of allowing myself to be moved by compassion? We must check our motives because Paul is telling us that the wrong attitude towards wealth is, in the end, destructive. Notice the vivid language he uses. Through this craving, some have pierced themselves with many pangs and have wandered from the faith. This is a bold statement that essentially says the craving or desire for more and more money can and will lead to ultimate destruction. Money is amoral, neither good nor bad. How we handle our money is the challenge. Let's allow God to use it to guide us, challenge us, and improve us. If we allow Him, He will use this area of life to work in us, making us more like Him every day. Take a moment to offer yourself to God with this prayer. God, I surrender my feelings about money to you. Use it to teach me to trust you, to become more trustworthy, and to meet the needs of others. Shape my desires. Help me to use whatever wealth I have according to your will for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. And that is the first devotional. Like I said, this particular course only has 4 lessons, and that one was based entirely on 1 Timothy 6:10. So hopefully you enjoy those as much as I do. And what we'll do is we'll kind of run into the other parts of the housekeeping, some prices and so forth. It's been a volatile market out there since last week. What's today, the 11th? So last Wednesday was the 4th. Gold, as of 9:06 this morning, is at $1,467.90 an ounce. Silver's at $16.77 an ounce. Platinum is at $933 an ounce. Palladium is at $1,919 an ounce. and rhodium is all the way up to $5,975 an ounce. And then when we switch over to these next few, these are by the pound. Copper is $2.76 a pound. Nickel is $6.15. Excuse me. Aluminum is 79 cents a pound. Zinc, $1. Lead, 87 cents. And uranium is up to $25.95 a pound. Crude oil is $59.16 a barrel. And the Dow is down 5.81 so far in today's trading. It's at 27,875.91. So we've got another day of the market being open and a lot of trading going on out there. I will tell you that a lot of the news headlines that I see from the different publications I follow have been having some interesting stories about where we're at as we close out 2019 and what the expectations are for 2020. Here's one. This is how to play gold price when things get rough. Markets are wrong. Fed is not done cutting rates, says Peter Schiff. And why gold and oil will be the real winners in 2020. And what you can do if you're interested, if you're a Facebook person, I have a page in Facebook that is dedicated to basically this show. It's titled The Gold Affiliate. And you're always welcome to go in there, like the page. I try to put as many of those articles on there as posts. You know, there's no obligation, nothing like that. I'm just kind of trying to scroll down to the most recent post I made. Oh, here we go. This morning I saw an article, the world's super rich are hoarding physical gold. And it's a story of how the super rich, you know, that 1% that controls so much of the wealth in this world and in this country are hoarding physical gold. And I'm not going to read the whole article, but if you are interested, you can go and read it there on my Facebook page, The Gold Affiliate. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you know, a lot of what happens in our world is based on information and the access to information. And, you know, you've got to think that there's some people in some industries that get information before you and I do from, you know, the News Leader or the Wall Street Journal or KY3 or, you know, wherever we, USA Today, wherever we get our news from. And so I think it is interesting that the super rich are hoarding physical gold. What is it they know that we don't? And that's one of the reasons we have this show, is to hopefully level the playing field for our viewers. And, you know, we're always grateful that Jim and Pam Whining brought us back to do the new gold standard. Dr. Paul for allowing us to come on a weekly basis on Wednesday mornings and stuff. So hopefully it's helping some. Story I posted to the Gold Affiliate Facebook page last week on December 7th, which I guess would have been Saturday, is the title or the headline was "Things to Get Uglier and Very Serious in 2020," warns Doug Casey. And Doug Casey manages a lot of money, and it's kind of an interesting interview. It's with Danielle Camboni from Kitco News, and she always has kind of a straightforward approach when she interviews some of these wealthy individuals and so forth. I threw one on earlier that morning about an article from Forbes, Bitcoin and Why You Need It. You know, we haven't really dedicated a full show to Bitcoin or the cryptos yet, but we will. And lately, if that's something that interests you, you've probably noticed that the Bitcoin has been very volatile and has gone down below 8,000 for the first time in a while. And, you know, it's one of those things where you want to buy low and sell high, and it's much lower now than it has been. Back on December 4th, I added one that was from Simon Black at thesovereignman.com. Gold has outperformed the stock market over the last year. and Simon goes through, the statistics as far as gold versus the other major categories and so forth. And he's got an interesting read on things. I mean, if nothing else, I've been trying to bring in some views from people besides just the mainstream media, and rightfully so. There's a lot of folks that wonder if some of the media isn't influenced by the right or the left, or whoever it is, whoever pays for the ads in their different publications, that kind of stuff. So I'm always rather skeptical, and try to have a broad view of things so that I can get all the different angles. And here's the last one I'll kind of highlight in this little part of the show. Back on December 2nd, which would have been before last week's show, if I remember correctly, but this is still one, if nothing else, you should go take a read at. It's Jeffrey Gundlach, The U.S. Stock Market Will Get Crushed in the Near Future. Now, Jeffrey is a bond daddy. I mean, he manages billions of dollars in bonds and is highly respected on the street, I guess we'd call it, and so forth. So right there alone, I mean, if you just kind of cover those 4 or 5 articles, you'll get a feeling for what some of the other publications in the world are saying as far as not only gold, but the market in general, and interest rates, and all these kinds of things. So it's been kind of interesting there. Excuse me. Let me see. What else do we got here? Oops, wrong button. Just trying to see if anybody in my other publication has come up with anything new. Oh, there's Egon. Egon's saying sell the NASDAQ and buy gold. I'll post this one to the Facebook page, so it'll be on later today and stuff like that. He's got some interesting things to say about those folks that are still riding the market. I mean, we've got an extended bull market. It's the largest expansion in history. Rates are at an all-time low as far as interest rates and so forth, and the Fed has gone back to printing money like it's going out of style. So there's a lot of folks that are looking at that and thinking that we're in a somewhat precarious place as far as that goes. I got my new shipment from 7K Metals last week, and remember, I'm doing this coin a month program with them, and if you're ever interested in that, you can go to www.thegoldaffiliate.com, and there's a lot of information on it. But this month's coin was the New York one from the U.S. State Series, and for those of you that can see on camera, it is gorgeous. I mean, it's in the little package and everything. Can you see that?
I'll move it up towards this camera here too.
Oh, that camera there? Okay.
Yep.
We're getting all visual and stuff.
Sure does shine.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, so that one goes with my other ones that I've already collected. I think I have Florida, Texas, and one other one. I think I've gotten 4 or 5 now and so forth. But, they're a big fan of trying to encourage people not to make the $1.2 million mistake. And if you go to the website or from prior shows, if you've heard me either talk about it or some of the guests that I've had on, what they're alluding to is these Silver Eagles were started back in 1986. And so what they've done is they've looked at the series all the way back to 86, and they've said, okay, if you bought one Silver Eagle every month since then, you'd have about 401 coins, give or take. But the value of those coins would be about in fact, right now it'd be in excess of $1.2 million on the market. And that'd be with, less than $50,000 spent to acquire them. So not a bad investment, and that's what they're talking about is that for some of us, we don't have the big dollars to throw around like these internet kingpins and these athletes and all this kind of stuff. I mean, some of us have to do it in a systematic approach, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I know in my lifetime, anytime that I finally, kind of looked at things and realized, oh my gosh, I've got a lot of money by my standards, it was because I started out years before with a systematic approach. $50 a month, $75 a month, $100 a month, whatever it may be, but that just automatically comes out of the checking account or comes out of the paycheck or whatever it is. And just with the way these things work, you kind of just keep your nose to the grindstone, and after 3, 4, 5 years, you kind of take a look at it, and lo and behold, you have a nice sum of money. Now, the other thing that we get each month with the coin is the new travel savings card. And remember, a couple shows ago, I talked about the 7K getaway. And I got to tell you, this really works. And I'm an experienced traveler from, well, I was a Navy brat, so we traveled all over the world, at the Navy's expense. And then as an adult, since '87, I have been all over the world as a wholesaler in the financial services world. And, kind of think I know my way around a trip to, Europe or Hawaii or wherever it may be. And my family and I, we went over to Dayton, Ohio for Thanksgiving, and I used a couple more of my savings cards to save some money off the hotel. So, and they do work with the Coin a Month program, the one I'm doing, which is just for the Silver Eagles. You get a card for about $125, which, if you use it, definitely offsets the $95 it costs per month to add another coin. So in a way, I mean, the coin I just showed you, once I use this travel savings card, I've gotten it for free. And it's not a bad way to add silver to my portfolio, such as it is. And I don't know if that's right for everybody. As Matt said, all the views on this show are not that of Axe Media or Axe Ministry. They're more from me, Tony Hammock, and a few of the different sponsors I bring on board and so forth. But anyway, just food for thought there as far as some of the ideas and everything. Interest rates are the same with those annuities we talked about last week. The 5-year one for over $100,000 is still 2.8%, which, if you're following interest rates, CD rates, annuity rates, that's pretty darn good. In fact, it's right up there in the top 2 or 3 as far as guaranteed interest goes. And let me see, what am I forgetting here? Seems like there's one of these things that we're not doing that we like to do. And, this will be a good spot for the golden microphone.
You read my mind
Hey!
before I could even put the golden microphone up. So whenever you're ready, Jay. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the producer's desk here at Axe Ministry, Axe Television Network. Today's show is brought to you by NaturalSolutionsStore.bz. Now, the product I talked about earlier on my show is the same product I'm talking about now. Now, I made everybody wait for like 45 seconds before I actually said the name of it, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. I really am not. So if you guys will just get ready, sit tight, and I was going to make you guys wait again. But Berberine HCI is one of the products that we have on there. It has antibacterial and anti-inflammatory and immune-enhancing properties. It's effective against a wide range of bacteria, protozoa, and fungi. So that means I can't take it because I'm a fun guy, and they'll make me go away. It can be used topically on cuts and other wounds. It is perhaps most commonly used to treat gastrointestinal issues, including travelers, diarrhea, I hate saying that word. Anyways, and that from food poisoning. Preliminary research suggests that Berberine's beneficial effects may cascade into helping many different conditions. Now, it's also an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, and it also has antiviral effects against the flu and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It helps to reduce the buildup of fat in your liver. Berberine has been shown to lower cholesterol and blood sugar and assist in weight loss and improve your health. So if you want to improve your health and feel a little bit better, go online, www.naturalsolutionstore.bz, and pick yourself up a bottle of Berberine HCI today. Back to you.
Thank you, Matt. we're always thrilled to have these ads that you get to announce for us and stuff. And much to my happiness here, Shelley has shown up a few minutes early. And I am thrilled to have Shelley Hampton join us today. Shelley's from Shapeshifters Pilates down on 601 North National. And she has been there a number of years. She and I were talking earlier this week about some things going on, not only with wealth and money, but with health. And so I was thrilled to get her to join us. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
Yeah, well, it's sunny outside. It's not raining. There's no ice and stuff like that. Shelley, I know, has been going through some really interesting times of late, and I'm just tickled that she was able to take a few minutes to join us today. And what we got to talking about is not only does she have a thriving Pilates practice with a studio both here in Springfield and then one in Branson, but she also markets a medical device that has been doing some incredible things for people here in Southwest Missouri for the last 3 years. In fact, it's almost about 3 years, coming up pretty quick.
Coming up in January,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, is that essential oil I smell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm an oily kind of girl.
It smells really good. I'm into that now. Essential oils and
They're
stuff.
wonderful medicine.
Fragrance. It is very good stuff.
So Shelley has a medical device that she's been having a lot of success with. And the reason why we thought it might be a real good time for her to come on the show, we actually had a couple reasons. But if you are a business owner, or after hearing Shelley's part of the show, decide to become a business owner, there is a revenue code called Section 179. Now, neither Shelley nor I or Axe Ministry is in the business of giving tax advice, but we can, or I can tell you that there is a revenue code, Section 179, and basically it allows you to buy equipment and write it off for the most part in the same year you acquire it. So somebody, you hear ads on the local radio. I can't remember what one was it the other day I heard. Some car dealership was talking about one of their pickups. And they brought up Section 179. And I know I've used it a couple times because I'm usually an independent contractor. But anyway, this device could qualify for that. Check with your CPA or your enrolled agent. It might be something to look at. And without me rambling any further, tell us what's been going on.
Well, there's two things going on in the world of Pilates and exercise or health in general, and I consider all of the practitioners that teach movement programs to be health practitioners, because even though exercise is a system that can make you look better, it's also a way to maintain a huge higher level of health, and that's replicated throughout the world. There is massive amounts of information that absolutely prove that it's one of the best ways to handle blood sugar levels, blood pressure levels, mood, sleep patterns, that exercise is one of the best things that you can do for all of those things versus, especially when you stack it up against the use of the major drugs that are put out for people in those situations where they're trying to find some relief. And when you put exercise together with nutrition, and a lot of good supplementation programs, and we put that together with a new field of health called electroceuticals. And that new field of health is really about creating the correct electric and magnetic charge inside the body. So you're really talking about charging your cells. You're talking about creating a cellular internal and external charge that allows the nutrients and oxygen to flow in and the toxins to flow out better. And right now, in the world, in fact, in Germany, the research that was done 20 plus years ago when this product was designed, it showed that there is a way to actually affect the cells at that level, which is remarkable because when you get that kind of effect, the healing systems in the body go into high gear. So things that people have come to me and said, oh, I've had this issue with my back for 12 years. And then suddenly, you would put this device in their world, and we put this electromagnetic field that is specifically designed to create a better charge within and outside of the cell. Their problems dissolve. And it's not because anything outside of them healed them. It's because what's inside of them got busy healing themselves. and that's what this device does. So one of the neat things about it is that it is easy to use. You get on it a couple of times a day for 8 minutes. You have an opportunity to use it on every member of your family, and you can use it on your pets. They have even made a device that's for equine. So there are throughout the world many people who are into various types of equestrian activities. They use it on their horses, and this is the best news, I think. Horses are amazing because they have a fight or flight or a rest and digest mode. They don't really have any middle gear. It's like either they're running from the predator or they're eating and resting. And they switch back and forth from that pretty quickly. But if they get their internal parasympathetic nervous system kind of messed up, they don't make that switch as good. Well, this device helps that happen, and it does it in humans too. So it brings stress levels down, which amazingly helps you sleep better, of course. Lots of things begin to happen when stress levels go down. Your hormones begin to be better in terms of not having too many stress hormones in the body, which we know stacks on the body weight. You know, regardless of how you're eating, it can cause weight gain. And so we're really thrilled with the impact of this device with regard to stress levels and keeping the parasympathetic nervous system activated and strong and able to switch back and forth from running and resting. That's a really big deal. So when we talk about the electromagnetic field, the name of the device, BEMER, B-E-M-E-R, stands for Bioelectromagnetic Energy Regulator. And the good thing about this particular device, it has 5 different patents on all of its different features, and it has the ability to, when you use it for 8 minutes, it lasts in the body. The effects last for the following 12 to 16 hours. So this is unheard of in medicine. Most medications wear off in just a few hours. So what we're talking about is this long-lasting effect that keeps the body's ability to move fluids through the system and get them into the cells, get the nutrients into the cells and the oxygen into the cells and the toxins out for the following 12 to 16 hours after each treatment. Therefore, if you use it twice a day, you're going to have a full 24 hours of improved microcirculatory system activity, which is, again, unheard of. No medication does that. There's no exercise that does that. There's nothing out there that will do it. So when I was introduced to this device, I ended up thinking, what a great thing this is going to be for myself, my patients, my clients, my family, and it truly has. I mean, we've had absolutely everything that you can imagine on the scale of health issues has come up in the last 3 years in the people around me, and we've been able to test this thing thoroughly on all of those issues. It's been really fascinating.
Well, I know that you have an event coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess maybe kind of my macro question here is if somebody likes what they're hearing about the BEMER, and it's not the car, let me make that really clear, but how could they get their hands on one or like this event
Taste
you're
test
doing?
it?
Yeah, taste test it.
Yeah, the best thing to do is either call me, my phone number, call my cell number. It's 417-496-2664. That's one thing that can be done. Another thing is that tomorrow night, is this Wednesday? I'm a bit calendar challenged.
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow night at the Hilton Garden Inn on the south side of Springfield, Missouri, we're going to have a demonstration of this device. We're also going to review the science. We're going to take a look at how it got built and where it's been used, and it's in over 40 countries, and we're going to talk about the usage in most of those countries being one of the primary medical devices that is used. And we're going to also be able to explain the strategy that is behind it and the idea of how it can impact different members of the family and different issues that come up. That's at the Hilton Garden Inn on the south side of Springfield, and it's from 6:30 to 8, and we do provide food and drinks, and so there's plenty. You know, you can come and have dinner, really, is kind of the way it works. The other thing is that we do need to know if you're coming. So if you decide to come and visit me and test the BEMER, 417-496-2664 is going to be the number for you to call. Another thing I'd like to say, though, is we're looking for distributors. This is a new piece of equipment in America. It's only been here less than 3 years, like you said. And so what's happening is we're really seeing this giant growth in terms of the distribution, and anyone who is willing to go through the training, I believe that the best people to be distributors for this device are people who are super interested in making a good living from home kind of thing, also super interested in health. A lot of folks from the medical profession have come over and started working with the BEMER device, and they're doing really well because it just matches what they've already been involved in. So we're seeing that a lot of pharmaceutical reps and people that are nurses. In fact, I met one of the engineers from NASA when I was at the BEMER conference in Orlando a couple years ago. And she, as an engineer from NASA who worked on the O-rings, on the improvement of the O-rings after the Challenger blew up, she was a BEMER distributor, and she said she was thoroughly impressed with this engineering that's behind it. It's German engineering and it's Swiss manufacturing, and that's two of the best of situations. So it's been impressive to see the people who have jumped in and decided to become BEMER distributors in the U.S., and we're looking for people such as that. So if you know someone, or if you're interested in finding out about that, I'm happy to spend some time after our demonstration tomorrow night at the Hilton Garden Inn, which is from 6:30 to 8, and share with you how that can work and what kind of training you have to go through. So, and that would be, again, please call me at 417-496-2664 and let me know.
Well, I know you sent me some information, and I'm kind of familiar because we know each other and stuff about the BEMER. But you were saying something about their goal as a company is to have a BEMER in every home.
In every home.
And at this point, did I read this wrong? At this point in the United States, there's only like 50,000?
Yeah, it's in very beginning stages here, and it's being adopted. We as a culture are not exactly like the Europeans in terms of openness to this type of thing, because we are very we're a bit brainwashed. We go after a medication almost every time something comes up. And let me tell you this is why I say this. I have some clients, several physicians who use BEMERs in their homes and with their families. And one of them, this gentleman's wife, had a situation where she ended up with a virus that causes major nerve fire, that ended up really being uncomfortable. And they were in Denver during the time when she got this thing going. And then when they got back, he told me she'd been suffering for 2 weeks. And I said, oh my gosh, so you used your BEMER device on it, right? And he went, no, we didn't think to do that. And so this is what they call a paradigm shift. Anything that comes up, it's very bizarre. It doesn't matter what tissue. If the tissue has blood flow, nerves, eyes, spleens, it does not matter. Bones, teeth, even teeth have blood flow. The only tissue in the body that has no blood flow is your cartilage. So if you go on the BEMER with no cartilage in your knee, you're probably not going to get a lot of relief, because it can't change anything except that which has blood and fluid flow. So cartilage doesn't have that. Cartilage gets fed a different way. It doesn't have arteries and veins in it. So what happened with him, or this is how I perceive it, is his mindset was, oh, she has this condition, let's go get this medication, boom. Now 2 weeks later, still suffering. So they came back. I said, you've used the BEMER, right? No, we haven't used the BEMER. Okay, it's time to use the BEMER. They go on it. 1 day later, symptoms abate, symptoms go away. The second day, nothing going on. And this has happened repeatedly. It's because we're mentally not prepared to say, let's go just jump on this thing for 8 minutes and use one of the smaller devices on the spot that's got the issue. We just don't think like that. So it's sort of a new way of processing how we're going to handle our health in America. And this is the good news. Health problems, almost all, have to do with circulatory problems or circulatory diminishment. So let's give an example. A diabetic would have maybe 1 cycle every 10 minutes of this electromagnetic pulsing action that happens in the body. 1 every 10 minutes. A normal healthy person should have 3 to 5 every minute. So if your microcirculatory electromagnetic field pulsing action isn't moving the fluids except for once every 10 minutes, and you should have 3 to 5 times every minute, what do you think that might do to your health?
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Not good. And that's why they have so much trouble with macular problems in the eye, and so many times they have to have amputation surgeries. And one of my clients is a doctor who is a neurosurgeon, and he has a Beamer for he and his family. And he said, oh, you know, this device, if we would adopt it, would make a gigantic difference in terms of the numbers of surgeries. He said, I can't even tell you the number of surgeries I do every year that I think could be prevented by this particular device. And in Africa, this is one of the pieces of research that came to my attention when I made a decision to purchase the Beamer and start using it, is that in a clinic of diabetes, a diabetes center in Africa, they had over 40 people who were already scheduled to have an amputation surgery. Ooh. And they contracted with them to use the Beamer device for several weeks instead, and the 2 times a day for 8 minutes, and not a single one of them. It's a small study, I'll grant you that, but 100% of them avoided having to have an amputation surgery. And even a year later, they still had.
That's amazing.
That
Boy,
is.
I mean, I can't think of anything worse than, you know, possibly having an amputation and stuff. You know, one of the reasons that I wanted Shelley to be on the program was, I think it was Voltaire. You know, they always give him credit for this, but, you know, he made the comment, isn't it odd or weird that we, you know, in our early part of our life kind of compromise our health to accumulate our wealth, but then as we get older, and in some cases we are wealthier, we start giving up our wealth to try and reacquire our health. And, you know, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. I mean, think about it. I mean, gosh, some of the, you know, one of the Koch brothers just passed away a couple months ago, and my gosh, those 2 guys had, you know, just more money than you can shake a stick at. I mean, you know, we could go on and on as far as some of the folks that, you know, had a lot of wealth and have passed away. And maybe, you know, if they had done a few things different, they could have prevented that, at least prolonged it for a little while and stuff. So I saw a really nice, you know, interrelationship between what Shelley does and what I'm always talking about as far as the gold and the silver and the, you know, interest rates and all this kind of stuff and everything. Are you comfortable talking about the income potential or the, you know, the cost of the machine? I mean, are there things like that that you're at liberty to discuss?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, you're onto something. In my world, in the Pilates world, or in the studio version of fitness training, which is not just buy a membership and kind of sort of almost show up, maybe. And ours is more private. It is appointment related. So I sell hours of time. That's really what I sell. Hours of time teaching Pilates. So we have to have so many hours of available time in order to make the space in which we exist pay for itself, plus a profit. So whenever I look at putting something new into the mix, I look at 2 things. Am I going to have more space? Am I going to have to hire more people? How simple of a process is it going to be to convert people over into thinking about this new product line or this new program? And so the Beamer really fit the criteria perfectly. And I think for Pilates studios, yoga studios, medical spas for skin care, all kinds of places like that could really maximize their ability to give people a really good plan for health and wellness, but also to increase the base revenue for their facility without increasing space and increasing the hiring pattern for new employees. And that's exactly what has happened. So if you become a Beamer distributor and you're working out of your home, these are some of your target clients, of course. The other thing is that the real ease and comfort with which you're going to help families acquire Beamers is simply to put them on it. Simply to put them on it 3 or 4 times and let them see what's going on with the Beamer, explain it to them repeatedly until they finally see the quality of it and how over the long haul it's going to save them a lot of suffering. The other thing is that if you become a distributor and you only make a couple of sales a month, 2.5 sales a month. I mean, that's revenue that's way, way bigger than you can imagine, because the commission is 25%. So what ends up happening is you have ability with just a couple of sales a month to really create a nice little income for yourself. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that, and there's a lot of different plans that we have in play that work for people all over the country. Some work better in some parts of the country and some work better in other parts. So we're able to do that. The Beamer device ends up being $1.64 a day to use.
Wow.
Over
Instead of Starbucks.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Over the course of 10 years. And
Okay.
you'll use it for 10 years because you'll use it for 20 years. You'll use it for as long as you want. The Beamers that are in Europe, some of those folks have had their Beamers for 18, 20 years, and they're still working. The first generation Beamer. This is the third generation of Beamer device, and it's still really, really quality made and has wonderful duration, is very durable and functional. So it's a Microsoft system. Anyone can learn to use it. It's just a matter of hitting a button on a touch screen on one of the devices, which is called a ProSet, which also has a red light device. People love that for their skin. It's fantastic for solving hair loss problems, all kinds of things. Red light therapy is well known throughout the world to be hugely valuable. And it is along with the Beamer signal. So it's not just the red light therapy, it's red light plus Beamer. And you end up with even better results when that's happening. So this $1.64 a day, there's two different devices. One is called the Basic and one is called the ProSet. And the ProSet has the red light and two other different pieces with it. They both have a sleep mode. And now that's when it gets interesting, because the sleep mode is when you go to bed, you hit the button, it runs for 2 hours and puts you into a nice deep sleep. And then when in the morning you've set your wake-up time, 2 hours before you wake up, it comes on. Ooh, lifts you right up. You wake up feeling like you actually slept. You have dreams. I go to sleep now. Sometimes I wake up in exactly the same space that I went to sleep in. I didn't move. I love that because that's not normal for me. It hasn't been like that for years, but it's really been very valuable. And so the Basic device is around $4,000 and the ProSet is around $6,000. So and there's ways to finance it. We've had families get very creative with their financing. We've had distributors that paid for their first purchase of a Beamer within the first month through sales. I mean, it's really been remarkable what we've seen happen with this. And it's been also hugely valuable to the families that we've worked with. We have stories where people's lung conditions had their oxygen levels down in the 60s, and then suddenly now they're up in the 90s again. Really amazing stories.
Well, let's loop back to two things. One is, remember, folks, when I first introduced Shelley, I talked about this Internal Revenue Code, Section 179. So if the one unit is $4,000 and the other one's about $6,000, and you run a business, let's say you're one of the businesses she talked about, and you buy one, you can write it off in this year. So if you have a situation where that may benefit you in your taxes, I mean, like we said, go consult your CPA or your enrolled agent, whoever does your taxes, and make sure. But I do know that that's out there, and you could take advantage of it. Another thing we're going to loop back to, and I didn't mean to motion both you guys back. I kind of looked over at Matt. The golden microphone has only appeared once today, so we're going to get it back in here. But before,
Well, I didn't want to interrupt the good conversation.
oh yeah, Shelley's good. But real quick, let me just throw out one little thing of why we're going to do this, and this might help Matt on what he wants to talk about briefly. Is this Beamer signal, from what I know about it, what it does is as it goes through your body, it's moving nutrients into your cells. And what better thing to do if you're getting some of the supplements from the naturalsolutionsstore.biz than to have those go more efficiently into the cells that you intend them to go to. Take it away, Matt.
All right. Thank you very much, Tony. Let me put my face up there for the poor people that have to see it. All right, everybody. Today's show is brought to you by naturalsolutionsstore.bz. You heard me talking earlier about berberine HCI, but another thing that I sometimes have a problem with, hang on, naturalsolutionsstore.bz, is brain focus. We have a product on naturalsolutionsstore.bz called Brain Focus, and it says in big letters, Brain Focus. Speaks for itself, right? Well, our fast-acting brain focus formula was carefully formulated to provide the perfect blend of ingredients to increase your mental performance, promote positive mood, increase natural energy, and ignite your mind's full potential. Now, it says it there twice, so it must be really important. So what this stuff does is it helps to increase your natural energy, ignite your mind's full potential, increase your memory, improve your brain function, and increase your attention length, which is something I really need help with sometimes. And it's natural, safe, and effective to build, and it also helps to build brain connections. So if you find yourself having a little bit of a difficult time focusing, which I think that's all of us, go online, www.naturalsolutionstore.bz, and pick up a bottle of Brain Focus today. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Matt. We really appreciate it. You know what? Let's do this, and the time remaining is let's have a call to action because we don't get you very often, and I know you're busy and, you know, all over the state and all this kind of stuff and everything. And there's a couple things that I know we've talked about that if folks are interested, they need to make an effort, you know. So if you're out there and you like some of the things you've heard today from Shelley Hampton with Shapeshifters, first off, I'm going to volunteer this for her, just in case she doesn't say something, is if you don't make it tomorrow night, she's got a studio there at 601 North National. Now, if you're familiar with that facility, that building, her studio is all the way around back on the southwest corner of the building. So just remember that if you end up trying to, you know, see Shelley or see the Beamer that way as compared to tomorrow night. But I know we got a couple of calls of action. Shelley, what do they need to do if they want to get more involved?
First of all, you're going to contact me and either come by and visit. We have a studio in Branson, too. I don't know if any of your listeners are there, but we have several places that we can send you to taste test the Beamer throughout the southwest Missouri area. We even travel. We have traveled to Kansas City. We've traveled to St. Louis. We go other places and take the Beamer. It's very portable. You can carry it with you when you travel and not even have to pay for it to be in the overhead bin because it's a medical device, which is really, really nice. In terms of jet lag, really, really helps with that. It's an easy thing to move from one spot to the other. So if you want to come and try it, call me at 417-496-2664. We have some clients who have bought 7 Beamers. We have a client, a lot of our professional athletes, for their families for Christmas.
Wow.
We have clients who have bought 5 Beamers for family members, children with seizure disorders, all kinds of really interesting things that it's helped enormously with. And so if you purchase more than 1 Beamer, we're going to give you $500 back on each Beamer that you purchase between now and Christmas. Another thing that's going to happen is if you purchase a Beamer before Christmas, we're going to give you a free travel bag to carry it in.
That's handy.
So if you call me at 417-496-2664, we'll go ahead and set either an appointment for you to come and taste test the Beamer. If I had cheesecake to sell, I'd let you take a bite, right? So we're going to let you take a bite off the Beamer. You're just going to come and be on it for a couple times for 8 minutes and then see what your experience is. Let us give you the information about it. Or you can come to our event tomorrow night, which is at the Hilton Garden Inn on the south side of Springfield, and it's from 6:30 until 8. And call me again, 417-496-2664.
Now, if somebody can't make that event, or even if they can, but let's just say the cost is prohibitive, you know, at this time of year with Christmas, actually it'd make a great Christmas gift for some
it's
people.
amazing for the whole family, yeah.
But do you have a way for them to I guess, have sessions or something?
Yeah, we actually have what we call packages of sessions.
Oh.
So people can purchase a package of sessions if they're working on a specific issue and then come in as often as possible and do their sessions. So that's an option too. And again, we have several locations in this area where that can be done. It's not just at my studio. It could be other locations too.
Yeah, you mentioned the one in Branson. Is that the one off 248?
Yes, it's on Highway 248, Suite 2C, 800 Highway 248, Suite 2C. It's in the Bella Medici office. That's where my Shapeshifter studio is in Branson. It's really close to the highway.
How long have you been doing Pilates?
Since 1992, which was before anybody even heard the word Pilates, and there were only 5,000 Pilates students in America at that time.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's millions now. So it's really grown. It's been a fascinating journey. It's one of the best rehabilitative types of fitness training that that exists in the world. And it's good for everything. It's good for endurance and muscle strength and core power and to shrink the body. It's weight bearing. It's a beautiful way to find a level of fitness that even athletes are very impressed with. You can challenge someone from a hospital bed with Pilates, or you can have a high-end. I work with a lot of high-end athletes, and wherever they are, we start and go forward. So there's this giant spectrum in the movement structure of the Pilates programs that we can really work with anyone, wheelchairs to high
I got a
athletes.
question. Two of them, actually. First of all, Tony, do you have one of these devices?
I do.
All right,
Yes.
so I'm coming to your house. Second of all,
I've invited you before.
I know I never made it, but Pilates is that very different from yoga?
Very different.
Okay, so a lot of people, whenever you say Pilates, their mind automatically goes to yoga. Well,
You
mine
know,
did.
I don't know why that is, but you're right.
Now, what is the difference between Pilates and yoga?
Well, yoga is an ancient traditional strategy for health and well-being.
And chi, so to speak.
Yeah, it's about moving energy through the body. Joe Pilates believed in that, and he designed 500 moves and all these weird pieces of equipment. So he believed that you needed to move from your center, that from your powerhouse all things flow. And so he trained for that kind of strategy and movement. Therefore, he was able to work with the professional athletic teams, with the boxing teams, the cross-country ski teams. He trained the French circus. He even trained the Hamburg Police Department. And when he was commanded to train the new German army, he said, no thanks, and got on a ship, made his way to the U.S. He was a trained nurse, and he met a woman on this ship. Her name is Clara. They got married. They were both nurses. They worked in the hospitals, and they opened the first Pilates studio in New York. And that was back in the 1920s.
Wow.
Wow. Mm-hmm. They've been doing this for a long time.
A long time. So
Pretty
it
well
made its way,
established.
it made its way from New York out into mainstream in about, I would say, the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s. You started to hear about it on the news because all the stars who were getting hurt doing their own stunts, the Tom Cruises and Melanie Griffith and a bunch of people that were in the media's eye at that time started using Pilates to rehabilitate their injuries. And then what they would do is they would find that it conditioned them and reshaped their bodies in a way that was very favorable to being in front of a camera. So they started talking about it, and that's how it came out of the closet.
Now, was there a weight limit to Pilates?
Not at all. We trained football players and NBA basketball players, and we have all kinds of different levels of fitness and weight issues coming in.
Huh, okay. Sorry, I was just wondering because, as you guys well know, I'm a chubby guy, so I want to make sure I'm not going to go break some equipment whenever I
No.
So, anyways, sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
on your time. I just
How much time we
wanted
got?
to- 2 minutes. So
2?
1 minute now, officially.
1 minute. Okay. So let's do this. One, don't forget tomorrow night at the Hilton Garden Inn. They're on, what is it, off Republic Road there by the Nature Center?
It is by the Springfield Nature
Yeah.
Center.
And that's from 6:30 to 8. Shelley's studio is at 601 North National. If you're in the second part of that Voltaire quote, which is, you're past 45 and, you've jeopardized your health over the years working so doggone hard to get where you're at, and now you want a fix, an easier way to do it than maybe, things that are intrusive and so forth, call Shelley. What's your number again?
It's 417-496-2664.
Okay. And if she can't fit you in at her studio here in Springfield, maybe she can in the one down in Branson, or just be there tomorrow night. Be there or be square as far as the workshop tomorrow night at the Hilton Garden Inn. And that's probably about a minute. I don't know. Are we close?
You're good. We're done, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week. We'll have another good show next week. And don't forget about Shelley Hampton. Thank you.